Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kind request, can you please come forward and fill up the gaps? Just to make the gathering look complete, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Please come forward. Don't disturb the ones who are praying. It helps me to connect with you as well. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وأصلي وأسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد بن عبد الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم أما بعد. All praise and thanks be to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is no doubt our creator, sustainer, nourisher, protector and curer. We ask him subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower his choicest of blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, his family members, his companions and all those who tread upon his path with utmost sincerity until the day of Qiyamah. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, like I mentioned in the previous session, we have a little more to cover from the life of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam before we proceed on to the other prophets alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, we have come to the latter stages of the life of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and an interesting incident takes place during the latter stages of his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this interesting, beautiful incident in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Azza wa Jal states, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي قال فخذ أربعة من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم. And remember, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. And remember when Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, "O Allah, show me how you give life unto the dead. رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى." Show me how you give life unto the dead. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, قَالَ أَبَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ. O Ibrahim, do you not believe, or have you not brought in iman that I can give life unto the dead? قَالَ بَلَى. Now he replies, of course, I believe, Ya Allah. وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. But this is just to, give me more faith and fill my heart with faith and to give me a deeper and stronger conviction. It is to strengthen my iman. قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, not just any ordinary prophet. He was the Khalil of Allah, the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we must dispel any doubts that may crop in our hearts that perhaps Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was in doubt. No, he was not in doubt at all. It was just that he wanted to strengthen his faith. He wanted to strengthen his conviction, and this is why he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah Azza wa Jal commands Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam to catch 4 birds. To catch 4 birds. قَالَ فَخُذْ أَرْبَعَةً مِنَ الطَّيْرِ. Catch 4 birds. Now you need to understand that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was old. Like I said, this was towards the latter stages of his life. Being an old man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands him to catch 4 birds. It's not easy. It's a difficult task to catch 4 birds. To catch 4 birds, wild birds that too. فَصُرْهُنَّ إِلَيْكَ. Now after catching the 4 birds, now train these 4 birds to come to you whenever you call them. Whenever you call them. I'm sure it's a pretty challenging task to catch 4 birds, and that too he's an old man, catch 4 birds, and now train the birds whenever you call them. Like say you name a bird, Polly, Kiki, whatever you name the bird, when you call the bird must come. I mean that's actually a very difficult task, to train the bird to that extent. So after you have trained the birds, now ثُمَّ جَعَلَ عَلَى كُلِّ جَبَلٍ مِّنْهُنَّ جُزْءًا. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, slaughter the birds. Slaughter the birds and cut up the flesh of the birds into little cubes, little pieces. And now you've got bird A, bird B, bird C, and bird D. Cut up the 4 birds, in the sense slaughter the 4 birds, cut their flesh into pieces, and now mix it all up. Mix it all up. So you've got the pieces of bird A mixed with bird B, mixed with bird C, bird D, mix it all up, and divide the mixed up flesh into 4 portions, and place each portion on the peak of a mountain. On the peak of a mountain. So you've got 4 portions, 4 mountains. Allahu Akbar. Old man has to climb 4 mountains to place the flesh, the mixed up flesh, on the peak of each mountain. So he had to, I don't think any of us have even climbed 1 mountain. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had to climb 4 mountains. So scholars rahimahumullah state that it is not easy to learn the lessons of Iman. You have to go through a bit of a struggle, a bit of hardship to bring in Iman. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was teaching Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. The life of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is just amazing. His story, there are like so many lessons that an individual can derive. I mean, you can just take one part of his life and discuss about it, derive lessons, Allahu Akbar. But as we have to continue with the story, we will go on inshallah ta'ala. So, he slaughters the birds, mixes up the flesh. Now it's got 4 portions. He goes and places it on top of each mountain, 4 mountains. And now he comes back. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, now, ثُمَّ دُعُوهُنَّ يَأْتِينَكَ سَعْيًا. Call each bird, and each bird will come to you sa'ya. They'll come to you swiftly. Allahu Akbar. So he comes down from the 4 mountains. He calls each bird. Lo and behold, the pieces of flesh, the cubes of flesh start to form. Because now, for example, if bird A were to form, bird A's flesh might be on mountain A, mountain B, mountain C, mountain D. So the pieces of flesh started to form from each mountain, and it started to become whole again. It became bird A, and it flies to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And now Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam witnesses this great miracle, this great sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It fills his heart with even more faith. Allahu Akbar. The iman of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, I think I mentioned this in the first or the second session, their iman is always soaring higher and higher. Day by day, their iman soars higher and higher. We, on the other hand, our iman drops, our iman plummets, our iman goes up. The iman of the angels, stationary, it does not move. That's why لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They don't disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded them to do. So now the iman of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam soars. He's filled with even more iman because he's witnessing first-hand this great sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was an interesting incident that took place during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Because sometimes people had the doubt, like say for example, if someone were to drown, Allah forbid, Allah protect us all, and if a fish were to eat up that individual, or if the fish of the ocean were to eat up that individual, is it possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring back that individual? It is completely possible. It is completely possible. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be buried in one place for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect you. Allah azza wa jal is the most powerful. In Allah qadir, Allah is capable of doing whatever He wills. So this story took place during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Now another incident that took place was that after a period of time, we mentioned that Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam was now, he had settled in Makkah. So scholars state that he was the first of the Musta'ariba. You have original Arabs. Now the original Arabs were the Arabs who came and settled in Makkah, like we discussed in the previous session. They came and settled, they came and asked Hajar, the mother of Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, permission to settle down, and they settled there in Makkah. They were the original Arabs. Now, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, on the other hand, he was the first of the Musta'ariba. Musta'ariba in the sense, he learned the Arabic language from these original Arabs. He learned the Arabic language from these original Arabs, and he learned the fluent Arabiya al-Fusha, the fluent Arabic language from these Arabs. So he is known as the first of the Musta'ariba. Musta'ariba in the sense who perhaps like borrowed the Arabic language from the original Arabs, and that's where this line of Arabs began. And until today, most of them are the Musta'ariba. They are from the lineage of Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. So was our beloved Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. So he was the first of the Musta'riba to speak eloquent Arabic, and the first of them to ride horses as well. He was the first of them to speak eloquent Arabic, and he was the first of them to ride horses as well. He was a noble man of his word. Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam was a noble man of his word. He would never ever break his promise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about him in the noble Quran. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِسْمَاعِيلَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صَادِقَ الْوَعْدِ وَكَانَ رَسُولًا نَبِيًّا. And mentioned in the book, the Quran, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, where really he was true to his word, to what he promised, and he was a messenger, a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after a period of time, now Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, he marries. He gets married in Mecca. And like I mentioned yesterday, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had the habit of visiting his wife Hajar and his son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam in Mecca. And he used to spend some time in Palestine with his wife Sarah and his son Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam as well. So this was the way Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam used to visit one family after the other. So once Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam visits his son, and on that day Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam had promised an individual something. He had promised an individual something, and he was gone a complete day. Because of that promise, he was trying to fulfill that promise, and he was gone a complete day. Now, time passes, and Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he was waiting the whole day. So he thought, let me go visit the house of my son. He goes to the house of his son, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, and he knocks the door. Now, like I said, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam was out. A lady opens the door and she asks Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, yes, what can I do for you? Who are you? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he asked her, where is Ismail? I wish to meet Ismail. Well, Ismail has gone out. He's gone out, to run some errands. He's gone out. So what can I do for you? So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam then asks her, so who are you? Then she says, I'm his wife. And then he asks her, oh, good. How do you find life with Ismail? And in general, how's life? He asks her. She says, well, it's okay. We are barely making ends meet. It's actually very difficult, and we don't have much food. We find it very difficult. We are actually struggling. And she goes on. It starts off with okay, and then she starts to complain, nag, and grumble about life with Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam listened to her. She did not know that she was talking to her father-in-law. She didn't know about it. So she kept on grumbling, complaining, whining away. So after she had done with all her complaining, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam then told her, okay, fine, I'll take your leave now. Just please convey my salams and my regards to Ismail. Tell him that I, Ibrahim, came and went, and just tell him to change his doorstep. To change his doorstep. This was the tiny piece of advice. This was like a code between father and son. They had a code, language between father and son. And he leaves. Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam comes in the evening, and in some way or the other he just sensed the presence of his father. Perhaps he could smell perhaps the idr or something that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam could have used at that time. So he asks his wife, did anybody come searching for me? To which she replied, yes, an old man, he came and he asked for you. Oh, okay, what did he say? Oh, he said his name was Ibrahim, and he just asked about life and all of that. And yes, towards the end, just as he was about to leave, he wanted you to change your doorstep. He wanted you to change your doorstep. Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, he understood what his father had meant. He understood what his father had meant. His father had wanted him at that time to divorce his wife, because his wife was not an appropriate companion for him. She was not a compatible match, and this was something that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had gauged and realized at the very first meeting with his daughter-in-law at that time. So Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam immediately obeys his father. Look, another lesson. Like I said the other day, our parents are of utmost importance. You understand? We must strive to listen to our parents, respect our parents, and even if we disagree at times, we must be able to respectfully disagree. And we should not let things fester and dwell for too long, where things go so sour with our parents that we can't even face our parents. Allahu Akbar. Like I said in the previous session, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about worship, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah couples it generally with good treatment of one's parents. Treat your parents with ihsan. Treat your parents with excellence upon excellence. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to treat our parents in the very best manner possible. Ameen. Now some time passes, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam gets married again. And once again, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam pays a visit. The same thing happens. Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam was out. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam knocks the door. A lady opens the door. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam strikes a conversation with her. He asks her, who are you? She says, I'm Ismail's wife. Okay, how's life? And she goes on to say, life is really good. So she was a positive individual, whereas the earlier individual was a negative individual. Now this wife was an optimist, the other wife was a pessimist. She used to look at everything from a negative angle. So here too you understand in this story, it's of utmost importance that we as spouses in a relationship, in a marriage, we both have to be optimists, we need to be positive. Because after all, we are following Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was the greatest optimist to ever walk on the face of this earth. Allahu Akbar. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He used to look at everything from a positive angle. And if you too look at everything in your life through the lens of positivity, you'll be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll be able to make the best out of your life. You're not going to grumble, you're not going to complain. Because at times we look around us and we try to make excuses to be unhappy. We try. Oh, my life sucks, this, that, my parents are treating me bad, my wife is this, my husband is that. And, we try to grumble and complain. We make so many excuses to be unhappy. But in reality, if we were to look around us, if we were to just shift our perspectives a bit, and if we were to look around, we would realize that we have so much with us to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. So let us render gratitude unto Allah Azza wa Jal. So this lady, she goes on to say, life is good with Ismail. Even though, we have little, but there is barakah, and we are happy at the end of the day. We live in a small house, but we are happy. We call it home, we are happy. And she started to talk all good things. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam listened to all that she had to say, and then finally he said, please convey my salams and my regards to Ismail, and tell him that I stopped by, and also tell him to hold on to his doorstep very well. Hold on to his doorstep very well. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam leaves. Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, he comes in the evening, he senses that his father may have come to see him. He asks his wife, did anybody come to see me? She says, yes, an old man, he came asking for you. And then she told him all of that, what they conversed and spoke about. And she said, finally, he asked me to convey this piece of instruction to you, and he wanted you to hold on to your doorstep firmly. Hold on to your doorstep firmly. So from this, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam understood the message of his father, and that was that his wife, this wife, is a suitable companion, is an appropriate, compatible match for him, and that he should strive to protect the marriage between himself and his wife. And this was another incident that took place during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, time passes, and Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam gets older and older. So the time for him to pass on and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now comes. And he is in the throes of death, sakaratul maut. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease the agonies of death for all of us. Ameen. The father of all prophets, the greatest of them all, after Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The greatest prophet after Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, a Khalil of Allah, the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he now passes away. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam passes away, and Allah Azza wa Jal, what does he do? He places him by Baytul Ma'mur, which is a house of Allah in the heavens. When the Kaaba was put up, when the Kaaba was built, right in alignment to the Kaaba, there is a house of Allah in the heavens known as Baytul Ma'mur. And according to the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every single day, 70,000 angels go into Baytul Ma'mur and they make tawaf of Baytul Ma'mur and they never come out again. 70,000 every single day. 70,000 angels, they go in, they make tawaf of Baytul Ma'mur and they come out. And they're never seen again. This is how vast the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Allahu Akbar. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam by Baytul Ma'mur as a reward for all the hardship he went through, for all of the sacrifices he went through. The reward was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed him by Baytul Ma'mur. And with that, the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam comes to an end. Now very swiftly, talking about Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, there's actually not a lot to talk about him. In regard to him, he was the great-great-grandfather of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, as the lineage of our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam traces back to Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. So after a period of time, after the demise, after the death of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam passes away as well. He was established in Makkah, so he passes away in Makkah and he was buried in Makkah, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. Now let's talk a little about Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. He was the step brother, the consanguine brother of Ismail. Consanguine in the sense, they both shared the same father but not the same mother. They both shared the same father. Ishaq and Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, they both shared the same father but not the same mother, as we all know, because the mother of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam was Sarah alayhi salatu wasalam, and the mother of Ismail was Hajar alayhi salatu wasalam. Their father was one, he was Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So they were two brothers, consanguine brothers. They shared the same father but different mothers. Now Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam, he too got married. Now where was he? He was in Palestine with Sarah alayhi salatu wasalam, like we mentioned earlier. So he gets married and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses him with twins. Two young boys, two sons. He was blessed with twins. One boy was named as Is and the other was named as Yaqub. One was named as Is and the other Yaqub. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, later he becomes a prophet. He was also known as Israel. Yaqub. These are few important facts. So that's why I'm mentioning it. You'll understand as we go further, inshallah. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam was also known as Israel. So the prophets and nations after Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam were all known as, can someone tell me? Banu Israel. They were all known as Banu, just checking whether you are awake. They were all known as Banu Israel. Because Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he was Israel. The nations and the prophets after him were all known as Banu Israel. In other words, the children of Israel. Now who is this Israel? He is Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. Now after a period of time, there was a harsh argument that took place between the two brothers, between Is and Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, the two children of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. And because of this argument, the mother, the wife of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam, had to send Yaqub away, had to send Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam to his uncle named Laban. His name was Laban. She actually sent Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam to him to avoid further arguments between the two brothers, because the arguments kept increasing day by day and she wanted to avoid further strife between the two. So she sent Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam to stay with his uncle. After a long period of time now, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam marries his cousin sister, the daughter of his uncle. Her name was Leah. Her name was Leah. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam marries the daughter of his uncle, his own cousin sister. Her name was Leah. And later on, he married her younger sister as well. Her name was Rahil. Her name was Rahil. Now, according to the Sharia at that time, according to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time, it was permissible to get married to two sisters at the same time. According to our Sharia, it is not permissible. It is not permissible. As long as, for example, the first wife is alive, you cannot get married to your wife's sister. But after the death of your wife, yes, you can marry your wife's sister. But at that time, according to the Sharia, it was permissible to simultaneously get married to two sisters. So he married Leah as well as Rahil. So the first wife, Leah, she gives birth to 12 sons. She gives birth to 12 sons, and they were known as the Asbab. They were known as the Asbab. the 12 sons of Leah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks and mentions the asbab in a few places in the Noble Quran. Say for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, قُلْ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ وَالْأَسْبَاطِ وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى وَالنَّبِيُّونَ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ لَا نُفَرِّقُ بَيْنَ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, قُلْ, say O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, آمَنَّا, we believe in Allah, and we believe وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا, we believe in what has been sent down to us, i.e. the Quran. وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ, and we also believe and confirm in regard to what had been sent down to Ibrahim, sent down to Ismail, sent down to Ishaq, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and that which was sent down to the Asbat. Now the Asbat were the 12 sons of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like I said earlier, mentions Asbat in other places in the Noble Quran as well. Now the second wife, Rahil, she gives birth to 2 sons, one who was an extremely handsome boy. His name was Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. His name was Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. The son of Yaqub was the son of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. According to the words of our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was Yusuf ibn Karim, ibn Karim, ibn Karim, ibn Karim. He was Yusuf, the son of Yaqub, the son of a noble individual who was Yaqub, the son of Ishaq, was also a noble individual. They're all prophets, the son of Ibrahim, the Khalil of Allah. The Khalil of Allah. And the second son from Rahil, the second son, his name was Binyamin. His name was Binyamin. So this is a little background about the family of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. So when we go and discuss about the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, it will be a lot easier in the near future, inshallah ta'ala. So now after a very long period, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he yearns to visit his parents and his brother. Which brother? Is the one he had an argument long time back. So this is after a very long period. Now he's got married, he's got 12 sons, he's got another 2 sons. So all in total he had 14 sons. So he, his wives, sons, all of them, they undertake a long journey to go visit his parents and his brother. During the journey, they stopped for some time at a place later to be known as Al-Qudus. Later to be known as Al-Qudus. And at that location, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he built a house of Allah for Allah to be worshipped. And that masjid, that house of Allah was known as Bayt al-Maqdis. Until today, Bayt al-Maqdis. So it was Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam who built that house. So now he reaches his motherland. His parents had become very old and frail now, because it is after a long period of time. His parents, in other words, Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam and his wife, they had become very old, and whilst he was with them, they passed away. They passed away. And with that, the story of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam as well as Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam comes to an end. And I know you might be thinking that we are close to discussing the interesting story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, but we have to discuss the story of the Prophet Lut alayhi salatu wasalam first, as his story took place during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And if you are all with me, we're still the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, even though we fast forward quickly until Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. So now let us rewind back to the migration of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. What did we say? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam migrated with Sarah alayhi salatu wasalam, his wife, and one more individual, his nephew Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. These were the 3 people who migrated from Iraq to where? Palestine. So after reaching Palestine, because even a brother asked me yesterday as to what happened to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, they migrated together, and then suddenly he went missing from the story. And here's the story we are going to discuss about Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. As they reached Palestine, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Lut alayhi salatu wasalam had now been appointed as a prophet, and don't think of it as something confusing. At a given time, there would be 2-3 prophets appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. I mean, look at the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Whilst he was a prophet, Harun alayhi salatu wasalam was also appointed as a prophet. So at the time when Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was a prophet, even Lut alayhi salatu wasalam was appointed as a prophet. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he sends Lut alayhi salatu wasalam to the villages of Sadum, in English Sodom. He sends Lut alayhi salatu wasalam to the villages of Sadum. Now, this location is currently where the Dead Sea is located. Currently, where the Dead Sea is located. The people of those villages were large in number. They were large in number, and they, as usual, had started to commit shirk. They had started to commit shirk. They had started to associate partners unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, they were involved in a whole list of crimes. A whole list of crimes. They were involved in sexual intercourse outside the parameters of marriage. They used to leave their wives to indulge in sexual relations with men with the same gender. They used to rape others. They were involved in a whole list of crimes. They were a vile and vulgar nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about them in the Noble Quran. وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ وَأَنْتُمْ تُبْصِرُونَ. And remember Lut, the Prophet Lot, when he said to his people, إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ وَأَنْتُمْ تُبْصِرُونَ. Do you commit fahisha? Fahisha in the sense, vile, evil deeds. It's very broad, because they used to commit a lot of evil deeds. So do you commit evil deeds, وَأَنْتُمْ تُبْصِرُونَ, whilst you can clearly see, whilst Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the ability to see what is the truth? Do you commit all this fahisha? أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ شَهْوَةً مِّن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ. Do you approach men in your lusts rather than women? Like I said earlier, they would leave their wives and approach men. And Lut alayhi salatu wasalam went on to say, بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ. Nay, but you are a people who believe senselessly. Now let us pause for a moment, and in the few minutes that I have, let's talk about homosexuality. A sensitive topic these days. So what does Islam exactly say about homosexuality? Islam is crystal clear in its prohibition of homosexual acts. Okay, as it clashes with the natural way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, has created us. It clashes. Nor does it serve the purpose of procreation, reproduction, which is one of the biggest objectives behind the institution of marriage. But today, I'm sure most of you are aware, recently they legalized same-sex marriages and all of that. They had gay pride parades and things like that. So today, the contemporary discussion about homosexual marriage is more political. Same-sex marriages is more political. Those in favor of homosexual marriages believe that the gays are being denied certain rights that straight couples are enjoying because of being in a heterosexual union, because of being in a heterosexual marriage. So they consider this discriminatory. They consider this unfair, that straight couples, normal couples, have rights, privileges and benefits that they don't have, that homosexual couples do not enjoy. So they think it is unfair, just because of their sexual orientation, they have been deprived of these rights, privileges and so-called benefits. So these individuals, the ones who are in favor of same-sex marriages, they don't call for the elimination of all the rights, privileges and benefits that are being given to straight couples. They just want expansion. This is what they portray. They want an expansion. They want gay people to receive the same rights, privileges and benefits that straight people, straight married couples receive. But sadly, they don't realize that the institution of marriage comes with so many strings attached, so many strings of responsibility attached. Like, for example, that of children. That of children, which is a huge, big responsibility for a married couple. So the rights and privileges that are there for a straight married couple are there to protect the woman and child during an event of a divorce, separation, etc. So this is why we have certain rights and privileges that have been given in different countries for straight married couples. Anyway, this is just a glimpse into the contemporary discussion. As for Islam, we Muslims are not homophobic. Now you have this term that is being thrown all over the place, homophobia, where people are scared and have this paranoia and this fear towards homosexual people. We are not homophobic towards homosexuals, nor are we in favor of discrimination, but as Muslims, we deem homosexual acts as wrong and immoral according to our religion. We deem them wrong. So just because of that, how can we be considered, narrow-minded? How can we be considered bigots for that? For deeming homosexual acts to be wrong. Just as how you have people, vegans, who are people who adhere very strictly to veganism. Veganism in the sense they only consume vegetables. They don't tolerate any form of exploitation, any form of cruelty towards animals. They don't tolerate. They're strict followers of veganism. Now, can we say that the people who follow veganism have got meatophobia, where they're scared of meat? Can we say that, or people who consume meat, you and I, we all consume meat. Can we say that the people who strictly follow veganism, they suffer from meatophobia, that they, you know what, they've got meatophobia, they're scared of meat, they're scared of us? We can't say that. You have kleptomaniacs, people who are addicted to stealing, kleptomania. You have people, they may be even rich people, but whenever they go to a store or somewhere, they get a kick out of stealing things, and they like to steal. It's part of their addiction. So can we, now I'm sure, we are all against stealing. So does that mean that we have all got kleptophobia? Or if you're against stealing, you're theftophobia. If you're against alcohol, alcoholophobia. No, it's not like that. I mean, we must be able to. Today what's happening is that Muslims are in such a confusion in regard to how much an individual should compromise and how much one should not compromise in regard to one's values, beliefs and principles of Islam, of the religion. This is all in the name of modernity. You see so much of modernity around you. Modernity has changed so much around us. Look, even the term family, the traditional term, it's a landmark institution, family, we are all familiar with it. Family has been redefined. What was it before? A father, a mother, a couple of children makes a family unit. But today now it has been redefined to incorporate same-sex marriages, unmarried couples. This term has been redefined in the name of modernity. So as Muslims, how much are we to embrace of this modernity? We can embrace certain elements of modernity. We are a tolerant people. We can embrace as long as we do not compromise our values, beliefs and principles of Islam. This is what is of utmost importance. We must be very careful. So when I say that we are not homophobic, we do not detest someone just because he or she is a homosexual, because our religion does not punish us for the impulses and inclinations that run in our minds. Say for example, what does Islam teach us? If an evil thought comes in your mind, if an evil thought comes in your mind, let's say you intentionally want to break your fast. Fasting in Ramadan is obligatory upon all of us, right? Say you intentionally intend to break your fast. Will you be considered a sinner? You have not acted upon it. It's just cropped up in your heart. It's just this inclination. If you don't act upon it, if you shun it away, my dear brother, you are going to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say you're thinking of committing an illicit act with a woman. Say, Allah forbid, thoughts of fornication, thoughts of adultery crop in your heart. As human beings, desires come in our heart. We are supposed to curb these desires. Say if something haram pops in our heart, as long as we don't act upon that desire, and even more, if you shun it away, you're going to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're going to be rewarded. But say you act upon it, that's when you are considered a sinner. But on the other hand, when we talk about good deeds, if you even intend a good deed, a reward is written for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just for intending a good deed. And when you act upon that intention and do the good deed, the reward is multiplied for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how beautiful our religion is. So talking about homosexual, because some people say that we are born homosexual, certain people. This is something between them and God, between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are nobody to judge. And according to us, what we say is that, okay fine, you may be a homosexual, we're not homophobic towards you, but we deem homosexual acts as wrong and immoral. And all we can say is that in our religion, you do not have a legal outlet, a permissible outlet of releasing your desires. You cannot indulge in homosexual acts. So you can be a homosexual, but it's a battle for you. You need to curb those desires. Just as how an alcoholic, what is it? He's addicted to alcohol. But does Islam allow the consumption of alcohol? Can he say, no, I'm an alcoholic, so I need to consume alcohol? No. And also, just because he says that he's an alcoholic, can we detest him? Does Islam teach us that? To detest him, to chase him away? Can we chase him away from the masjid? Can we detest him? Is that the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? No. We must welcome him into our worship spaces and all of that. But still, we will not condone, we will not allow him to consume alcohol. Or rather, if he does it on his own, that's a different story. But in front of us, Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, we cannot deem that as permissible. We cannot deem that as permissible. And for him, it's a battle. And if he does not act upon his desires, if he controls and curbs his desires, he's going to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all we say is that there is no legal permissible avenue for a homosexual to indulge in his or her desires in our religion. Ergo, we refuse to celebrate a law that openly legalizes and permits what our religion deems immoral. Simple as that. And for that, we cannot be considered bigots. We cannot be considered narrow-minded, intolerant people. Now, a few days back, you saw so many people sporting the rainbow colors and whatnot. But as believers, as Muslims, we refuse to celebrate a law that openly legalizes and permits that which Islam deems as immoral. But we are not homophobic towards them. If they do not share our faith, they are free to do whatever they want to do. They are answerable to God. That's up to them. But in our religion, within the parameters and the guidelines of Sharia, it is not permissible for us to deem such acts as lawful. So with that, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I conclude. But what's important is that we must be able to strike a balance. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that we have made you a moderate and balanced nation. We must not give in to extreme ideologies either way. Not too modern, not too traditional. We must always be able to strike a balance in the middle. And like I said earlier, we can embrace modernity as long as we do not compromise the teachings and values of Islam. So with that, I conclude today's session, inshaAllah ta'ala. Tomorrow we will continue with the story of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin, I have an important announcement. That is for the brothers and sisters here, as well as the online viewers and the television viewers. If you have any questions in regard to, because normally after the talk there are brothers who come up and ask questions. At times time does not permit me to elaborate a lot on certain things, and also maybe some of them don't get a chance to meet me after the talk. So if you have any questions, the ones who are viewing it via the TV as well as the live streaming link as well, if you have any questions in regard to the content, in regard to the stories of the Prophets alayhi salatu wasalam, or even any other questions, you can tweet me on at Muiz_Bukhari. I'll spell it out for you. At MUIZ_BUKHARY. You can tweet me via that handle, as well as use the hashtag AskMuiz, ASKMUIZ. Use this hashtag as well as my Twitter handle. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll get a notification and I'll try to answer some of the questions, because sometimes 2 or 3 people might ask similar questions. So I'll be able to go through all of the questions, and I'll try my level best to address some of the very important questions in the series itself. Like said, during tomorrow's episode, day after tomorrow's episode, I'll try to address some of the questions. Failing, if I don't address it within the series, I will respond via Twitter, inshaAllah ta'ala. So remember, at MUIZ_BUKHARY, and use the hashtag ASKMUIZ. For the television viewers, I'm sure the channel must have put a small note somewhere around here on the TV. You can see it and follow it, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وأصلي وأسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد بن عبد الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is our creator, sustainer, nourisher, protector and curer. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to shower His choicest of blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, his family members, his companions and all those who tread upon his path with utmost sincerity until the day of Qiyamah. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, before we continue with the story of the Prophet Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, I just want to remind myself as well as all of you that half of the blessed month of Ramadan has gone. Time is indeed flying. We've just got another roughly around 15 days from this blessed month of Ramadan. Time is flying so rapidly. It is a sign from the signs of the day of Qiyamah. Talking about the signs of the day of Qiyamah, you have minor signs of the day of Qiyamah, major signs of the day of Qiyamah. Minor signs, scholars rahimahumullah, based on the different narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have gone on to list the minor signs, and some of them have counted almost around 60 minor signs, 70, some 80, some have even gone on to mention 100 minor signs. But based on research, what most of the scholars today state is that from those signs, be it 60, 70, 80, 90 or 100, most of the minor signs have already taken place. You've just got a handful of minor signs remaining, after which the major signs will start. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. And in regard to the major signs, there's a clear hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that they are only 10 in number. Only 10 in number. Major signs of the day of Qiyamah. The narration goes along the lines of these words. Once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came out, and the Sahaba, they had gathered, and they were talking about something, they were discussing about something. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to them and he asks them, Ya Sahaba, O my companions, what are you discussing about? What are you talking about? They went on to say, we are talking about the day of Qiyamah, Ya Rasulullah. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on to teach them something, that the day of Qiyamah will not take place until 10 major signs occur. Now what are the 10 major signs? You have, from the 10 major signs, they're not in any particular order, based on different narrations. You have different, in terms of the order, the order varies. So, but I'll mention the 10 signs. Number 1, you have dukhan, a smoke that will cover the whole planet. A smoke that will cover the whole planet. Number 1. Number 2, you have a dabba, a beast that will emerge. A beast that will emerge, an animal that will emerge. Some scholars state that the animal will claw at the faces of the believer, at the faces of mankind, and the faces of the believers will shine. In another narration, or if you interpret the ayah actually, yukallimuhum, in that ayah, the dabba will talk. This animal, this beast will come out and will start talking to mankind. This is the second sign from the signs of the day of Qiyamah, the major signs. And then you have a Dajjal who will come out. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from his fitan. Ameen. And then you have the sun rising from the west, opposing the norm where it normally rises from the east. It will rise from the west. And then you have Ya'juj and Ma'juj who will come out. Gog and Magog, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They will come out and cause all kinds of they will commit all kinds of atrocities, cause all kinds of mischief and corruption on the face of this earth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. And then we have Nuzul Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will come down by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you have 3 major earthquakes. 3 major earthquakes. These are mega quakes. One, khasfun bil mashriq, one earthquake in the east, one earthquake in the west, khasfun bil maghrib, wa khasfun bi jazirat al-Arab, and one earthquake, one mega quake in the lands of Arabia, within the Arabian Peninsula. And finally, you will have a fire, narun takhruju min qa'ri 'adn, a fire that will come out and it will gather the people, the remaining mankind, onto the plains of Al-Mahshar, where from there onwards the trumpet will be blown and the day of Qiyamah will commence from there. So now in regard to these 10 major signs, we don't have a particular order to follow. So we don't know whether the sun rising from the west will be the first sign or the Dajjal coming will be the first sign. But we know one thing for sure, and this is based on the words of the Prophet ﷺ, that even if one of these 10 major signs were to occur, even if one were to occur, the remaining 9 would occur one after the other in a very consecutive manner, just as how if you have a beaded necklace, if you were to break the necklace, just as how the beads fall one after the other in a very fast consecutive manner, the major signs, even if one were to occur, the remaining 9 would occur one after the other in a very fast manner, one after the other. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. So even if one of these signs were to occur, the remaining would occur really fast. Allahu Akbar. And today when you look at society, when you look at the world, everything around you, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, is being conditioned for the arrival of Dajjal. According to the words of the Prophet ﷺ, that Dajjal is the greatest fitna ever known to mankind. The greatest fitna. There was not a single prophet from all the prophets that we have discussed so far and the ones that we will be discussing inshallah, not a single prophet except that the prophet warned his nation about Dajjal. Be it Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, be it Musa, Isa, Yusuf, Yaqub, Lut, Nuh, all of these prophets alayhi salatu wasalam, all of them warned their nations, warned their people about Dajjal. And Dajjal is not some jinn or something like that. He's a human being. He's from the children of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. It's just a matter of time before he comes out and starts causing all kinds of mischief and corruption. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Time does not permit for me to discuss and elaborate a lot about Dajjal, but Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us a lot about him so that we may protect ourselves from his fitan. One important point I would like to mention, and that is that some people tend to think of Dajjal as a metaphor, as an example, as some kind of an example, a metaphor. They say that they try to interpret Dajjal to be, they say that the World Wide Web, the internet is Dajjal, or they say that the television is Dajjal, they say this is Dajjal, that is Dajjal. But when we look at the words of the Prophet ﷺ, all these interpretations are wrong when you compare it with the words of the Prophet ﷺ, because his teachings are so clear. He literally gave us a pen description of Dajjal, that he'll be a short, stout individual with curly locks of hair. He'll be blind in one eye, the other eye will be floating like a grape. He'll have kafara written on his forehead. So when you look at the description of the Prophet ﷺ, it in no way matches the interpretations of these individuals. Does the television look short and stout to you? Does it have curly locks of hair? Is kafara written on the television? The internet, do you have a figure for the internet? Does it have curly locks of hair? Has it got a reddish complexion? Is it blind in one eye? Has it got another eye floating like a grape? No. You have clear-cut descriptions from the Prophet ﷺ in regard to this diabolical monster, Dajjal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from his fitan. Ameen. And this is why it is of utmost importance that during every salah, what do we pray? What do we recite? Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min adhabil qabr wa min adhabil nar wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamahati wa min fitnatil masihid Dajjal. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from what? The fitan of Dajjal. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Ameen. So, in regard to the Prophet Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, we mentioned yesterday, that they were a nation, a vile and evil nation, who used to commit so many atrocities, so many crimes. There was a list of crimes that they were involved in. And mainly, they used to leave their wives and approach men to fulfill their desires, as we mentioned yesterday. So the Prophet Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he was appalled and disgusted by what his people were doing. utterly disgusted by what they were doing, but he kept on inviting them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because after all, that was his responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that in the noble Quran. إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ لُوطٌ عَلَىٰ تَتَّقُونَ إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ لُوطٌ أَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. And when their brother, in the sense when one of them, who was he? Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, like I mentioned in the previous sessions as well, generally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to send someone from their own vicinity, from their own area. So Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he advises them, will you not fear Allah? Ala tattaqoon. Will you not adopt taqwa? Will you not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Inni lakum rasulun ameen. Indeed, I am to you a trustworthy messenger. Fattaqullaha wa ati'oon. Fear Allah, be conscious of Allah and obey me. وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ إِنْ أَجْرِيَ إِلَّا عَلَىٰ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I do not ask you for any payment. I'm not doing this to be paid by you. I don't need any payment from you. My payment is only from the Lord of the worlds, Rabbil Alameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he goes on to admonish them. أَتَأْتُونَ ذُكْرَانَ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. Do you approach males amongst the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill your desires? Do you approach males? وَتَذَرُونَ مَا خَلَقَ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ. And you leave what your Lord has created for you as mates. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created for us spouses from the opposite gender. For males, it's females. For females, it's males. So He goes on to admonish them, وَتَذَرُونَ مَا خَلَقَ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ عَادُونَ. But indeed, you are a transgressing nation. You are a transgressing people. But even after all of this advice, their reply was an arrogant one. Their reply was an arrogant one. They went on to tell Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, قَالُوا لَئِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ يَا لُوطُ لَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُخْرَجِينَ. They said, O Lut, if you do not stop what you are, saying and in terms of your advice and all of that, you will surely be of those who are going to be chased from here. We are going to chase you from here. We are going to banish you. We are going to expel you from this village. Allahu Akbar. Look, the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he strongly replies, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُمْ مِنَ الْقَالِينَ. Indeed, I am an individual who detests, who hates your deeds. Now pause for a moment. What did I mention yesterday? We are supposed to hate the act. We are supposed to hate the deed, hate the crime, not the individual. Not the individual. This is not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Just because someone commits a mistake, just because someone makes a mistake, just because someone does wrong, we're not supposed to hate him. We're not supposed to distance ourselves from him. In the sense, we must always welcome him. We must try to advise him. We must make him see what is correct. And this is the sunnah of the Prophets ﷺ. Look, he's saying, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُمْ مِنَ الْقَالِينَ. I detest and hate your actions. And that's why I said yesterday, we Muslims are not homophobic. We are not homophobic towards homosexuals. But we are against those acts, homosexual acts, because they go completely against the teachings of Islam. They go completely against the teachings of Islam. And that is why we do not celebrate a law that permits and that sanctions something that has been prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not celebrate a law as Muslims. But that does not make us in any way narrow-minded. That does not make us an intolerant nation. Nor does it make us bigots. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open the doors of understanding for those who think in a wrong manner. Ameen. So he strongly replies, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُمْ مِنَ الْقَالِينَ. And then he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَبِّي نَجِّنِي وَأَهْلِي مِمَّا يَعْمَلُونَ. Oh Allah, save me and my family from what they are doing. In other words, from the consequences of their deeds. From the consequences of their deeds. Save me and my family. Now the people, they started to plot and plan against Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, as is the nature of mankind. They tend to forget the lessons of the past, Allahu Akbar, and we should not fall into the same category. These stories are not to keep us entertained, like I say often. It is for us to derive lessons and implement into our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to do so. So they started to plot and plan against Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in the noble Quran. فَمَا كَانَ جَوَابَ قَوْمِهِ إِلَّا أَن قَالُوا أَخْرِجُوا أَهْلَ لُوطٍ مِّن قَرْيَتِكُمْ إِنَّهُمْ أُنَاسٌ يَتَطَهَّرُونَ. The answer of the people was not except that they said, expel the family of Lut from your city. Expel Lut and his family from your city. They started talking to one another. Why? What's the reason now? Why do they want to expel Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and his family? Look at the reason. Innahum unasun yatatahharun. Because they're talking amidst themselves, because they are people who keep themselves pure. Because they're pure people, they don't fit with us. So indirectly they're saying, we are dirty people, we are dirty people, we are corrupt. So they are pure, they don't deserve to be with us. So banish them, expel them from the city. Allahu Akbar. Look at how foolish and ignorant they were. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Now, they saw Lut alayhi salatu wasalam as a criminal in front of their eyes. And what was the crime? The crime that he was committing was that he was advising them against the vile and sinful acts that they were committing. And also because he kept calling them towards cleanliness, towards purity and goodness. This was the crime of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam in front of their eyes. Allahu Akbar. But sadly the people of Sodom, like we mentioned, that was the name of that village, that area, the people of Sodom, they were blinded by lust. They were blinded by their lustful desires, and they could not see what was pure and right from what was evil and wrong. They were completely blinded by their lustful desires. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he kept calling them and inviting them to repent and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the only people to believe in Lut alayhi salatu wasalam were his two daughters. These were the only two individuals to believe in Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Even his wife, Allahu Akbar, did not believe in him. Even his wife, even the wife of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, did not believe in him. Instead, she used to celebrate. She was not from the people. She did not commit the vile acts that the people were committing, but she used to celebrate with them and help them to commit more and more sinful acts. She used to help them. She was an accomplice. She used to help them to commit evil acts, and she used to celebrate the fact that they were committing all these acts. Allahu Akbar. And my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, pause for a moment now. As we go on, you will study, inshallah ta'ala, that she was also destroyed with the people of that nation. Why? She did not commit any of the evil acts, but she was an accomplice. She was okay with it. She was happy for them. She used to celebrate with them. And this is why, as believers, as Muslims, we must be extremely careful that we do not celebrate something that has been prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lest we become part and parcel of that as well. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Sometimes we think, I'm not doing it. It's just that, maybe let me just put up a status in support. Maybe let me just change my profile picture in support. Sadly, you see many Muslims doing it. Let me just change my profile picture in support just to show some love, just to show some support. This is exactly what she did. She did not commit the wrong acts. She just showed them support. She helped them. And because of that, she was also included with them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. So whenever visitors used to come and visit Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, she would run and inform the people, so and so has come, males have come, so and so have come. And they used to come and seduce the guests of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam by force. This was also one of the crimes that they used to commit. Allahu Akbar. They used to indulge in wild, sinful acts with the guests of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, whether they liked it or not, by force. by force. And she was the one who used to go and inform them about this. She was so corrupt, the wife of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. And that is why, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it seems that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not decree hidayah, guidance for her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about them, where Lut alayhi salatu wasalam admonishes them, أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ وَتَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلَ وَتَأْتُونَ فِي نَادِيكُمُ الْمُنْكَرَ. Indeed, you approach men with your lustful desires, and وَتَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلَ, and you obstruct the road. In the sense, they were highway robbers. They were highway hijackers. They used to hijack people. They used to lay in wait when people used to pass by, caravans used to pass by, and they used to rob the caravans. They used to seduce the people of the caravans. They were a nation that used to commit so many atrocities, so many evil sins. And Lut alayhi salatu wasalam kept on persisting in terms of inviting them and calling them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But finally, Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he loses hope in his nation, and he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَالَ رَبِّ انصُرْنِي عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. Oh Allah, help me against this corrupt nation. Help me against this corrupt nation. He prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, as you all might remember, in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, we mentioned that towards the end what happened? Two angels visited Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, right? And what did they tell Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam? They gave him glad tidings of a son. What was his name? Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. And then what did they tell Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam? We are two angels, and we are actually on our way to destroy the city of Sodom, the city where Lut alayhi salatu wasalam is in. We are on our way to destroy, not two angels, three angels. Three angels. Who are they? Jibreel, Mikael, and Israfil alayhimus salam. They visited Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. They gave him glad tidings of a son, Ishaq. And then they said, we are on our way to the city where Lut alayhi salatu wasalam is in, to destroy that city. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ بِالْبُشْرَى. And when our messengers came to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam with glad tidings, قالوا إنا مهلكو أهل هذه القرية إن أهلها كانوا ظالمين. They came with glad tidings of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam, and then they said, indeed we are on our way to destroy the people of the city of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. إن أهلها كانوا ظالمين. Indeed its people have been wrongdoers. They have committed so much of wrong and evil, they are going to be destroyed. Now Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was a very kind, merciful individual, being the Khalil of Allah, being the friend of Allah. He tried his level best to intercede on behalf of the people of the city of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. He tried his level best. He said, he tried to persuade the angels to leave going to the city of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. He tried hard to intercede. He kept on telling them, there might be believers within the city. There might be, what if there are about 200 believers, 200 believing families, and you're going to destroy the city? The angel said, no, there aren't 200 families. Then he said, what about, there might be around 100 people? No, there aren't that many people. Then there will be at least around 50? No, not even 50. 40? No. 30? No. 20? No. And then the angel said, no one believes except for Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and his two daughters. And that's why we are headed to destroy the city. And then they went on to say, قَالَ إِنَّ فِيهَا لُوطًا قَالُوا نَحْنُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنْ فِيهَا لَنُنَجِّيَنَّهُ وَأَهْلَهُ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. Then finally Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam said, so then Lut, he is in the city and you're going to destroy the city? He is there in the city. Then the angel said, we are more knowledgeable of that fact. In the sense, we know that Lut alayhi salatu wasalam is within the city. لَنُنَجِّيَنَّهُ وَأَهْلَهُ. We will surely save him and his family. إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ. Except for his wife. except for his wife. We will save him and his family, except for his wife. كانت من الغابرين. She is to be of those who are going to remain behind. Allahu Akbar. Now the angels, they leave Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and they go to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Now when they went to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, like I told you earlier, they went in the guise of human beings, just as how they went to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So these are angels, three angels, Jibreel, Mikael and Israfil alayhi salam. They go to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and visit him at his home. The minute he saw the angels in the guise of human beings, he started to panic. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Why? Because he was scared for them, because he knew the minute the people of his village get to know that he has received guests, they are going to come and start doing all kinds of wild acts with the guests. They're going to come and seduce the guests and do all kinds of evil things with them. So he was worried for them, he was scared because they were youngsters, they were young men. They came in the guise of youngsters. So he was scared for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا لُوطًا سِيءَ بِهِمْ وَضَاقَ بِهِمْ ذَرْعًا وَقَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ وَلَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّا مُنَجُّوكَ وَأَهْلَكَ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَكَ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ وَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا لُوطًا. And when our messengers went to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he was distressed and he felt scared for them. There was this apprehension within him for them. He was fearing for them and he was in great discomfort. Now whilst he was going through all of these emotions, the wife of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, she runs out from the back and she goes and informs the people that certain guests have come to visit Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Now the people of the town, they all get together, they rally and they come to the house of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam en masse. They come all together and they started to knock on the door of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. They started to knock on the door. And then they started shouting, "Oh Lut, send your guests out. Send your guests out. We want to meet them." You see what a corrupt and wild nation they were. You see how corrupt they were? Allahu Akbar. They started to knock on the door furiously. And Lut alayhi salatu wasalam was now in so much of fear for his guests. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this incident in the Noble Quran. وَجَاءَهُ قَوْمُهُ يُهْرَعُونَ إِلَيْهِ. And his people, they came rushing to his house. وَمِنْ قَبْلُ كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. And they had been doing evil deeds from long time before. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ هَؤُلَاءِ بَنَاتِي هُنَّ أَطْهَرُ لَكُمْ. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, he cries out, "O people, these are my daughters." And he was indicating towards his own daughters as well as the women of the city. Because after all, he's a prophet and they are all daughters to him at the end of the day. He indicates to all of them and he says, "These daughters are more purer for you as wives. Approach them, get married to women. Get married to women." He cries out, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, fear Allah, وَلَا تُخْزُونِ فِي ضَيْفِي, and do not disgrace me concerning my guests, in regard to my visitors. أَلَيْسَ مِنْكُمْ رَجُلٌ رَشِيدٌ. Is there not even one righteous individual from you? Can I not even see just one righteous individual from amongst you all? But there is not even one individual. Allahu Akbar. And then the angels, sensing the discomfort of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, they informed him, وَقَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ وَلَا تَحْزَنْ. Fear not and grieve not, O Lut. إِنَّا مُنَجُّوكَ وَأَهْلَكَ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَكَ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. They informed him that we are not just any ordinary human beings, we are angels sent by Allah. I am Jibreel, this is Mikael, and this is Israfil. Inna munajjuk, we will save you, wa ahlak, and your family, illa imra'atak, except for your wife, kanat min al-ghabirin, she is going to be of those who will remain behind. And then they went on to inform him, inna munziluna ala ahli al-qarya, على أهل هذه القرية رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون. And indeed we will bring down on the people of this city punishment of the sky, because they have been defiantly disobedient of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have been disobedient towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After informing Lut alayhi salatu wasalam in this regard, they go out. In the sense, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, he goes out. And with a flick of his wing, their eyesight was removed by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions, وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدُوهُ عَنْ ضَيْفِهِ فَطَمَسْنَا أَعْيُنَهُمْ فَذُوقُوا عَذَابِي وَنُذُرٍ. And they had demanded for the guests of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam from him, but we removed their eyesight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, فَطَمَسْنَا أَعْيُنَهُمْ. We removed their eyesight. فَذُوقُوا عَذَابِي وَنُذُرٍ. And it was said unto them, taste my punishment and my warning. Taste my punishment and my warning. So their eyesight was completely removed. Some scholars go on to say that even their eyeballs were removed from their sockets. And they started to be in utter, there was actually a lot of chaos and confusion, because everybody was now blind. They were struggling to see things, because they all became blind just like that. Allahu Akbar. The punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the angels looked at Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, and then they said, قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك لن يصلوا إليك فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب. Now they informed Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, Ya Lut, inna rusulu rabbik, we are messengers of your Lord, lan yasilu ilayk, they will not harm you, they will not be able to touch you, don't worry. فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ بِقِطْعٍ مِّنَ اللَّيْلِ. Leave the city with your family during the night. When night falls, you must leave the city with your family. وَلَا يَلْتَفِتْ مِنْكُمْ أَحَدٌ. And do not turn back. And they said, don't turn back and look at the city. This was a command given to them, given to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and his family. So in the night, Lut alayhi salatu, now this happened somewhere in the afternoon, where their eyesight was completely obliterated, was removed completely. And in the night they were commanded to leave. So Lut alayhi salatu wasalam packs his things, and he and his family, in other words, he and his two daughters, they leave the city. Now his wife was observing all of this. She was also blinded, but she was observing all of this, and she now sensed that a great punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come down, right? And she started to follow them. And as they were leaving the city, she turned one last time and looked at the city. Just one last time she turned and looked at the city. Even though she could not see, she felt sad to leave the city, and she turned back. No sooner she turned back, scholars rahimahumullah said, she remained fixed in that position. She froze in that same position because she turned back. What was the command given to Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and his family? Don't turn back. But she turned back. She couldn't bear the thought of leaving her city, because she loved the people so much. Like I told you, she used to celebrate whatever they were doing. She was happy for them. So she turned back, and she became of those who remained behind, just like the angels had informed Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Kanat min al-ghabirin, she was of those who remained behind. And then what did they say in the ayah? Inna maw'idahum as-subh. Their appointment, in other words, the time for them is daybreak, morning. Alaysa as-subhu biqareeb. And is it not that the morning is so near to them? Allahu Akbar. Now it was night. In another few hours, the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to descend upon them. No sooner it became daybreak, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, he descends. Jibreel, the greatest of all angels. He lifts the city with the tip of his wing, and he raised it up to the heavens, so much to the extent that it is mentioned that the angels in the heavens could hear the roosters crowing, they could hear the dogs barking of the city of Sadum. Allahu Akbar. He lifted them up so high, and then stones from the heavens, from the skies, started to pelt down on them. And each stone had a target. Each stone had a target to hit an individual from the people of Sadum. Each stone hit its target and destroyed the individuals of the city of Sadum because of their vile atrocities, because of all of the sins that they had committed. And then Jibril alayhi salatu wasalam brought the city down, crashing down. Allahu Akbar. He brought the city crashing down back to earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in the noble Quran. فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا جَعَلْنَا عَالِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا. And when our command came, we made the highest part of the city its lowest part. In other words, it was turned topsy-turvy, upside down. Allahu Akbar. فَجَعَلْنَا عَالِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهَا حِجَارَةً مِّن سِجِّيلٍ مَّنضُودٍ. And we rained down upon them stones of hard clay, stones started to rain down upon the city. And then Jibril alayhi salatu wasalam brought the city crashing down. And after it was completely destroyed, it started to rain. It started to rain so heavily that that area, the people of Sadum, that area, the village, it became a sea. It became a small ocean. And that sea is known today as the Dead Sea. That sea is known today as the Dead Sea. Now the Dead Sea is 9 times saltier than normal parts of the ocean. 9 times saltier. When you look at it, you'll notice that scientists have mentioned in regard to it that there's no life form within the sea because the sea is so salty. In other words, it's a cursed location where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descended. So scholars go on to state that is it permissible for an individual to visit the Dead Sea? Is it permissible? Because if you perhaps Google it, you will find out now there are many resorts, there are a lot of things around the Dead Sea. It has become a tourist attraction, the Dead Sea. So scholars write whether it's permissible for one to go by the Dead Sea to perhaps, use products that have been made from, ingredients that have been obtained from the Dead Sea, and things like that. So scholars go on to explain that if it is confirmed. Now, there is a slight difference of opinion whether the Dead Sea was actually the location where the people of Sadum were destroyed. But if it is confirmed that that is the location, then it is not permissible because that is a location where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came down. And then they go on to say that it is a lot better for believers to avoid visiting that place as well as using products made from the Dead Sea, because there is a possibility. When we look at the books of history and the books of tafsir, most of the scholars like Ibn Kathir rahimahullah and others mentioned that the location was the location that is today known as the Dead Sea. That is the location where the people of Sadum, the people of the city of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, were destroyed. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he mentions that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam forbade entering upon the places of those who were subjected to divine punishment. In other words, we are forbidden to enter any place where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had descended. It is forbidden for us believers to enter such locations, except if you go in there crying and weeping. But do people go to the Dead Sea crying and weeping? They go there in their beach shorts and whatnot. It is a tourist attraction. Unless you go into such locations crying and weeping, it is forbidden for you to go to such locations, because you must reflect on what happened there. And you must fear the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you go to such locations. You must go there to derive lessons, not to go there to chill and have fun and whatnot. You must go there to derive lessons and come out from there as quick as possible, fearing the punishment and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah went on to say that he also forbade making use of any water that is available there, because of the fact that the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descended upon those individuals. Once when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on his way to the campaign of Tabuk, the expedition of Tabuk, they had to pass by a location. They had to pass by a location where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had descended upon the people over there. And he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam instructed them, because before he had come to know of it, the people of that expedition, the Sahaba, the companions, they had used the water to make a dough, flour, to make a dough. And they had already kneaded the dough. He, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the minute he got to know of it, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah mentions that he instructed them to feed that dough to the animals and not to consume of it, because they had used water from that location, and that was a location where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had descended. So we as believers, we must be extremely careful that we avoid such locations unless we go there to introspect, unless we go there to reflect and derive lessons. And even if we go for such a reason, we must make sure that we come out from there as swiftly as possible, quickly as possible, fearing the wrath and punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, before I conclude, I remind you all once again, please, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, you can leave a message via my Twitter handle at Muiz Bukhari, at Muiz_Bukhari, MUIZ_BUKHARY, and also use the hashtag AskMuiz, AskMuiz. So like I said, I'll try to address the questions within the series itself. Failing, I'll do it on Twitter, so you can follow me as well, so that you will be updated in regard to whether I have answered the question or not, inshallah ta'ala. So tomorrow is Friday, we won't be having the Messenger series tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, but we will be resuming it once again on Saturday, where we hope to discuss the very interesting and beautiful story of the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. So I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.